Apparently we've got to the point where everything needs Wi-Fi now. Fridges, dishwashers, stoves, even beds. Beds. Why does my bed need an IP address? And every month there's another headline. Like imagine telling someone in 1985 that you couldn't go to bed last night because Amazon Web Services was down. And it's not just the important stuff. Companies are now connecting things that absolutely do not need the internet. This isn't innovation. This is just shoving a Wi-Fi chip into something that vaguely resembles an object. So naturally the next step is obvious. I'm connecting my Keurig to the internet. Not because it's practical, not because it'll improve my morning routine, and definitely not because anyone asked for this. It's just everything is joining the cloud call, so my coffee maker might as well too. And hey, if it can throw out a motivational text and tweet every time I brew a cup of coffee, that's just a bonus. So here's the plan. I want the Keurig to know when it's brewing and then tell the internet about it. That's basically it. But to make it happen, we need a whole chain of overly complicated steps. So first, I need to figure out how to detect when the Keurig is actually brewing. There's a button, there's a light, there's probably some circuit in there doing something. Once I figure out how to detect the brew signal, I'm gonna send it to an ESP8266. It's basically a tiny Wi-Fi enabled microcontroller that I can send the information online with. The ESP8266
Hey, I'm a potato.
will send a small request to a serverless function that I'll set up later. That request will then use AI to generate a new message every time. So the Keurig won't just send notifications, it'll have a personality. Now all I have to do is actually open this thing, figure out what signal I can hijack, wire it to a microcontroller, write the firmware, build an API, connect it to the motivation generator, and pray it doesn't catch on fire. In my head, this is a clean, simple, elegant little automation. In reality, I'm probably about to void the warranty and figure out this machine was never meant to be opened. Let's get started. All right, time to open this thing up and figure out what's going on in here. The goal is to detect when the Keurig is actually brewing, which means finding anything inside this machine that reacts when the pump turns on. The pump is basically the heart of the machine. It only turns on when it's brewing. So if I can read the voltage going to the pump, that tells me exactly when coffee is happening. To safely read that 12-volt pump signal without blowing up my microcontroller, I'm using an optocoupler. This little chip has an LED inside it. The pump voltage lights the LED, and the other side of the chip turns that into a safe, isolated signal for the ESP8266. So here's the setup on the pump side. On the ESP Pump Plus goes through a 10K resistor into pin 1 of the... Boring. For now, I'm keeping everything on a breadboard. Real engineers would solder this properly, which I will definitely do later. Probably. Okay, moment of truth. If everything is wired correctly, the ESP8266 should detect the pump turning on. Pump runs, serial monitor updates. The microcontroller now knows exactly when the Keurig makes coffee.
Great success.
So the hardware works. The microchip knows exactly when the Keurig starts brewing, which means it's time for the part of the project where things get way more complicated than they need to be. I'm basically giving the coffee machine a brain and feelings, because that seems like a normal thing to do. The Wi-Fi microchip keeps things simple. When the pump signal fires, it sends a tiny HTTPS post request to my cloud endpoint. It's the Keurig whispering, "I'm brewing," but like in a robot language. The ESP pings my Cloudflare worker, which is just a little bit of code living rent-free on the internet. It only wakes up when coffee happens. Honestly, same. The worker calls an AI model to generate a fresh message based on the Keurig's personality. And somehow this actually works. I gave the AI a prompt that basically says,
"You're a dramatic, chaotic Keurig who sends overly emotional coffee messages."
And it takes that very seriously. The worker sends the message through Twilio to my friends' phones. So every time I make coffee, their phones get the digital equivalent of a barista writing something unhinged on their cup. And that's it. The Keurig now has a fully deployed global emotional support system. And that might be the craziest sentence I've ever said out loud. All right, moment of truth. Best case scenario, this works perfectly. Worst case scenario, I taught my Keurig how to text.
Oh, darling, your coffee is on its way, and so is your destiny. Fueled by my rich brew, you will conquer the day, but don't think for a second I won't be watching, waiting for your next move. Your caffeine fix is my gift to you.
Okay, that's way better than I expected. and also deeply unsettling. Obviously, this requires deeper scientific testing. So I brewed over 5 coffees in 10 minutes. At some point, the notifications stopped being inspirational and started feeling like a threat. Turns out there is a limit, and that limit is sometimes just knowing when to stop. So yeah, I connected my Keurig to the internet. And at this point, I think it's done everything that it needs to do.